I've sent hundreds of cold email campaigns over these past couple of years, tested pretty much every single tool out there, and honestly, most of them are a complete waste of money. So today I'm ranking every single one from S tier to F tier so you don't blow your budget on something that actually doesn't even end up working. When you've ran enough cold email campaigns, you stop caring about feature pages and start caring about actually what gets replies. That's exactly what this tier list is based on. Not marketing or any sort of hype tool, just something that consistently works over hundreds of cold email campaigns over and over and over again. I've got 13 tools to go through, so make sure to stick to the end for some that you might not know about. Let's start with one that everyone's heard of. Apollo. Everyone knows Apollo, and it's used for the go-to cheap data at scale. But the new pricing that's brought to the software killed that advantage, and it's not so cheap anymore. Apollo is a tool that tries to do everything from email finding to sequences to CRM, and the result is that everything's okay, but nothing's great or exceptionally well. That's fine if you want a single tool to get started, but once when you're actually serious, you'll outgrow it, so we put it towards the B tier. Now, the next tool is one that you probably haven't heard of in a while or at all, and it's the one I put above almost everything else on this list. Email Bison. Email Bison is a cold email sending platform like Instantly or SmartLead, but the difference is low fingerprint infrastructure. And what this means is that when you're sending at scale, you need something that targets deliverability, because that's the most important function of cold email. Your deliverability is the whole entire game, and Email Bison is built to solve that exact problem that a bunch of outbound marketers or agencies face. So this goes on S tier for a solid reason: deliverability. The tool I'm about to show you cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars in wrong emails before I figured out what was going on, and that's Wizza. Wizza is an email finder, and the data tends to be pretty bad. It's expensive per credit, so you're basically paying for a lot of emails that end up bouncing, and there's no reason to use this tool in 2026. That's why it goes in the F tier. Now that you've seen some of the worst tools out of the market, let's talk about ones that are best for email finding and the best email finder out there. And I should be upfront, this one's ours. Full disclosure, FindEmail obviously is our product, so take that with this context. But here's why I can actually prove that point without me just talking. Clay ranked FindEmail as the best email finder and the best email finder on their platform exclusively. That's their data, not mine. So full B2B data coverage, email, phone numbers, company enrichment. And obviously our AI lead finder builds targeted lists without you doing manual research. Pair this with Clay and you've got the strongest prospecting setup available right now. This goes on the S tier. Let's move on to a tool that you're most likely using because of habit. Hunter.io. Now, Hunter's been around forever. It's the OG email finder for those of you guys that know. If you know, you know. The problem is that it hasn't kept up. The data feels stale compared to what's out there right now in the current marketplace. They built a sequencer too, but it's bare bones compared to the dedicated sending tools that other softwares provide. And if you're just starting off with outbound, this might be the tool for you. It's fine, but that's about it, and we'll put it towards the C tier right now. Speaking of tools that haven't kept up, the next one was supposed to be the future of B2B data. It's called Lusha. Lusha costs about 20 times more than FindEmail, and the data isn't exactly better. It's a static database, so it means somebody scraped the data, stored it, and when you search through it, you're able to find that actual information in the database. That's actually old tech, in case you haven't came to that conclusion yourself. When tools like Clay and FindEmail exist, in real time, data is enriched and data is provided. There's just no reason to pay for something like this when it's stored in almost like a hard drive. So we'd rate this on the D tier. All right, it's time for a tool next up that has finally earned its reputation: Instantly. Instantly is the OG tool for cold email at scale, and obviously has earned its spot for a reason. Account setup, warming, sequences, tracking, it does what it's supposed to do, and it does it very well. There's not much to say about Instantly because it works like it is advertised. We put that towards the A tier. And the next tool is something that looks good on paper, but in practice, most people don't actually like it: Snav.io. Snav.io is very similar to Hunter. It's an email finder with a basic sequencer bolted on, and it works when you're a complete beginner and you want the simplest option available. But when you're running real campaigns with a lot of leads and you're enriching a lot of data, what ends up happening is you actually need something better. We need a tool that's a little bit more sophisticated because your skill set requires that. We put this towards the C tier. Now here's one that tries to do something none others in the list can do: Limlist. Limlist is a sending tool on pure cold email. but it's a step behind Email Bison, Instantly, and Smart Lead. What sets Limlist apart is its multi-channel approach. It supports LinkedIn outreach built into different sequences that you can obviously use to outreach to prospects. And if LinkedIn is a part of your workflow and it's a mandatory, then Limlist actually does make sense. But if you're email only, the other softwares that we already mentioned are a lot better. So we'll go ahead and put Limlist on the B tier. Now, the next one that we're going to list is probably one of the most overhyped tools in the space, and that's Seamless.ai. The same problem as Lucia, it's static data, overpriced, and data doesn't hold up much when it's a couple of years being cycled. Fresh data and new enrichments are obviously the way to go, and there's not much else to say about this software, so we'll go ahead and place it on the D tier. So back to the tools that are a little bit better and actually work really well. Smart Lead is very similar to Instantly. It's a solid sending platform. It does the job, and if you can't get Email Bison, you want to pick Instantly or Smart Lead. Whichever UI you prefer, you can't really go wrong with either. They're both very solid tools. And again, we'll go ahead and place that one at A tier. Now, this last tool is the finale of interesting. It does one thing really well and charges way too much for another. We're talking about Full Enrich. Full Enrich does waterfall enrichments, which are great, and it checks multiple data sources to find contact info for phone numbers, and it's obviously a decent option. But for email, it's 3 times more expensive than FindEmail, and the data quality is a little bit worse. They also charge you for risky and unverified emails, which doesn't help at all either. Use it for phone numbers if you need them, but skip the email part. We'll go ahead and put Full Enrich over at the B tier. And finally, the tool I think everybody needs doing outbound 2026. If you haven't heard of it already, you've heard of it right now. Clay. If you're doing outbound in 2026 without Clay, you're leaving a lot of money, time, and results on the table. Clay lets you build creative outbound campaigns that don't look like every other cold email in somebody's inbox. And that's the real edge, especially with email marketing and cold email in 2026. If you combine it with FindEmail for data and Email Bison or Instantly with sending, that's the perfect stack you need moving on into this year. So go ahead and rank that at the S tier. So that's the full list. Let me give you the short version. If I had to build my entire cold email stack from scratch all over again, I was just starting to send cold emails in 2026, it would be 3 tools. It would be Clay to build the campaigns, FindEmail to actually get the data, and Email Bison or Instantly to send and start my campaigns. Everything else on this list is either a step down from those or it's solving a problem that doesn't really need solving right now. And if you paid attention, you'll notice I didn't mention the game changer in 2026, which is AI. And that's because I made a fully dedicated video on the 6 best ways to use AI as a sales pro. So go watch that next as well.